2016, and I'm in the backyard of my best friend's house singing at the top of my lungs the lyrics to a trashy rap song. And then at 9:30 p.m., I get it. I get the call from my mother, and through her muffled sobs, she tells me that I have lost my father. So now I realize that I was entering into a new realm of existence, one where I was relying on one parent, but I was growing the perspective of losing a parent. And throughout the grieving process, I realized that my grief wasn't real. It was not authentic. I was simply speeding it up so everyone else around me would feel comfortable. And when I looked at that idea on a larger scope, I realized that marginalized women like myself had been doing that for centuries. We had been standing on the front lines and taking every brutal hit, but we weren't taking time to heal ourselves because it seemed as if everyone else still needed our help. Young Black women continue to face, fight, and come through this smoke seemingly unscathed from the wounds inflicted from a careless society. Melody Castro, a friend and a classmate of mine, she immigrated here from the Dominican Republic. And not even 6 months had gone by before her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. You see, times were tough. The family didn't have a car and money was short. So when Melody became of age, she took a job at a fast food joint in our local town where she was met with the same backhanded compliment that so many immigrants get, and that is, your English is so good for an immigrant. As almost as if this culture recognizes that she was different, but they only wanted to see it on Cinco de Mayo. You see, this could have left Melody drained physically and mentally, but she didn't let it stop her. But marginalized women, they feel drained in many different ways. One is social media, where stereotypes are pushed that Latinx women are the fiery sex-tempered goddesses that look like Salma Hayek, or on the other end of the spectrum, they are the docile maid from Family Guy who know one word. And for Black women, we are degraded, dehumanized, and hypersexualized by family, friends, co-workers, and lovers. And the news isn't helpful either, because day after day, seeing the unarmed bodies of people of color laying in the street in their own cold blood, shot by the authoritarian figures we're supposed to trust, it can become desensitizing. And so you take those two aspects and you think that you can relieve the pain by hanging around people who make you feel relaxed. So you go to a friend's house, and on a Friday night, you're thinking that you can talk about Billboard's Top 40, but then it switches when somebody realizes that you're an advocate. And so the conversation changes from the last episode of Scandal to the socio-political climate of the US. And while those conversations are important to have, sometimes they're just not wanted. And that plays into the idea that marginalized women never feel that they can say no. Not today, not now, please. Araba Dejaka is also another friend and a classmate of mine. She's the first generational born to migrant parents. Her mother from Trinidad and her father from Ghana. When her mother came here in the 1990s, her accent was thick, because in Trinidad they speak with a dialect. They speak English, but it's very hard to understand if you're not trained to hear it. So that predisposition, disrespect to come her mother's way. But Ina took her mother's experiences and morphed them into a catalyst for her to excel in a land of promises. But when Ina talks of her academic excellence, she's met with faces of shock, which automatically transfer to, I never expected a Black woman to be this smart. But au the contraire, because you see, according to the Root and the National Center for Education Statistics, 66% of all degrees awarded to Black students were given to Black women. And their enrollment in college is the highest of any pillar of women in college. At 9.7%, they beat out Asian women who are at 9.1% and white women at 7.1%. And according to Pew Research, Latinx students between the ages of 18 and 24, 35% were enrolled in 2 to 4-year colleges in 2014. Also, their dropout rates have been decreasing over the years as well, going from 32% in 2000 to just 12% in 2014. You see, nurturing that seed of academic excellence in young marginalized women is so important, because not only do you promote the social and the professional growth of that young woman, but you create a space of diversity and conversation within the workplace. And you also can change the demographic to which your company caters to, because it's only going to take so long before your productivity declines because your product can no longer sell to white people. So you're sitting there in the audience and you're thinking to yourself, how do I help? Will you help as an ally? Because when you say less and you listen more. Because when you let the marginalized woman speak of her experiences, then you can change your advocacy to fit her needs. But in the same tone, do not expect the same marginalized women to educate you. Because sometimes their stories are too traumatic to retell, and sometimes they've been spoken so many times over you should have listened the first time. But you must also understand that ally is just a title. Ally is who you show up for and who you stand up for. And when you do this, you can recognize your privilege, and whether that be your race privilege or your sexual identity privilege, knowing where you stand can help you lend a helping hand. And when you do these things, then you can realize and make your advocacy inclusive, because when it's inclusive, then you can bring in more open-minded people who want to bring positive changes to the movement. So when allies do this, then you make self-care in the marginalized woman so much easier to do. You see, self-care can be taking a walk or reading a book, deleting those social media apps and those news apps for a day or two, or maybe just seeing a licensed therapist. Because sometimes when you talk about your day, it can make tomorrow easier to withstand. So to my marginalized women, I say thank you. Because we have been the backbone of society since the dawn of time. We are special, needed, worthy, intelligent, and important. And you should never let anyone make you feel ashamed of who you are or where you come from, whether you like science fiction or pineapple on your pizza. And to my allies, continue to use your privilege to build a platform, to let marginalized women tell their stories, and to yell what they have been saying since the first boats showed up on the Ivory Coast. Because when we work together, we can make tomorrow much, much, much more beautiful. And so I say,